Thank you very much. The problem with following distinguished speakers on similar subject is that they've covered almost a chunk of all of your presentation, which is my situation. So just think of me as a summary of what they've all said. Vodafone is a leading worldwide communications company in all continents. And what's unique about our company is that we have 27 foundations worldwide. And I run the foundation here in the U.S. called Vodafone Americas Foundation. I'm here to talk about the wireless innovation project that we run annually that's been quite successful. But before I get into that, I'd like to share something with you that's a little bit different. Let's see. Okay. I just recently returned from a trip to my home country of Japan, and I heard this story, and I wanted to share it with you. So if you look at this screen, you see a phone booth on the lower corner. This phone booth sits atop a hill in a town called Osuchi in Iwata Prefecture. It's in the Tohoku region. You might have heard of that region before in the news, where on March 11th, 2011, a devastating earthquake and a tsunami killed 800 people, and 400 people are still missing. If you look further, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that the phone booth is called Kaze no Denwa, which means telephone of the wind. If you look further within the phone booth, you see a rotary phone with a cord dangling on the side that's not connected to anything, not even satellite. Yet people come here every day to talk to their dead, their missing, their loved ones, their husbands, their wives, their children. A person named Itaru Sasaki built this phone booth because he felt a real deep need that his people had, and he wanted to make change and help them. I'm telling you the story for two reasons. One is that when I was on holiday that I heard this wonderful story, and two, that there is a distant connection, and also that human beings seem to need to connect and to communicate. And there are individuals like this man, Mr. Sasaki, who can make this happen and create change. Here's the connection. We're changing gears here. Our foundation runs a competition annually called the Wireless Innovation Project. And I believe that the winners are successful because they have characteristics like Mr. Sasaki to create change. And they have the passion. But aside from these characteristics, the people of the projects must have cross-collaboration, be cross-disciplinary. They must have thorough knowledge of the project and the people and the problems that they are helping. And the knowledge of the partnership, the network of partnerships in order to make change happen. So partnership with NGOs, governments, and small villages and villagers. I mentioned passion earlier. And, oops, is it working? Passion, like one of our winners, Nithya, from Nextleaf, who knew that vaccines had to be refrigerated in order for them to be effective. So she created a mobile tool that communicates the temperature of the vaccines during transport. Or a person like Gwen of Soko, who built a platform that connects artisans from all corners of the globe with the world marketplace. And she went further on to build upon the platform to so the artisans can, sorry, I'm not an engineer, so I'm trying my best here. So the artisans can track their inventory and even do payroll functions should their business grow. And then we have Shivani Sharoya from an organization that was called Inventure. It's now called Tala. She created a mobile tool that trains.
It's 11 hours.
That connects the unbanks to banks so that they can have, they can build credit and have financial independence. And then lastly, we have two gals from Neopenda who realize that nurses that are working in developing countries are overworked and overstressed, that their hospitals are overcrowded, and so much so that multiple babies are put in one crib, and nurses can't tell which babies are in distress. So they created a monitor that goes on the baby's wrists that communicates which baby's in distress so that the nurses can target their care. I want to introduce you to this year's winners, starting with PathViz. PathViz is an adaptation on the mobile phone that's able to detect pathogens in water, like pathogens like cholera. It gives real-time data and location data, so health services and emergency workers can target their work and their services to the people that need it, and also be proactive on where the disease might spread in wherever the water is going. And that's pretty relevant to what's going on now with hurricanes and floods. Next, we all know that poaching is devastating in countries, and also it affects the ecosystems of whole continents, aside from the fact it's extremely cruel and that it's rendered some species extinct. Wiper is not only a tracking collar that they place on elephants and wild animals, but it's integrated an acoustic shot detector system. So it informs authorities immediately when a shot is fired. That way law enforcement can quickly track and capture and prosecute criminals. So we have, oops, sorry, I forgot the last one. So DreamSave, we just talked about connecting the unbanked to banks. DreamSave is a scalable, sustainable solution that allows millions of people financial independence through small microfinance lending memberships. So these small groups are able to use the mobile phone to become members of lending groups so that they can track, save, and loan money in their small groups. And they're affecting change slowly and quickly through little villages and different groups of people. There are partnerships with NGOs and governmental organizations have really helped them to advance quickly. So we believe that a lot of our winners are, I'm sure. Can you read this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So before we say we believe, we have 70 finalists and 27 winners running around 40 different countries. They've raised over 4.8 million. Really, I'm sure by now it's close to $5 million, aside from the prize winnings that they received from us. We've touched 40 million lives, and we expect them to touch 62 million in just a few years. And traditional VCs expect 25% of their businesses or their startups to reach market. With our projects, 62% have already reached market. Just want to make sure. So we believe the reason most of our projects have been really successful is because, I mentioned before, the characteristics of these winners. but also the fact that they have passion to create change, and they actually listen to the people they're helping, and they have compassion, and they're thoughtful to include the people that they're creating the solutions for, rather than leaving them outside. And they're careful to do no harm. I realize this is a bit of a stretch, comparing it to the telephone on top of the hill, the telephone of the wind, but I believe the characteristics that we talked about in that individual and the winners and the individual winners are very similar. So I'm wondering who the next year's winners are going to be when it's our 10th anniversary of our competition. You can find information about the application at Vodafone-US.com. We'll be opening the site a couple of weeks from now in October to launch the 10th year of our competition. So that's it for my presentation, but I want to just kind of veer from all of this and what I had prepared. I kind of feel that I'm preaching to the choir. You all are NGOs. You have passion. You're compassionate, and you are on the ground doing the work that these people are also doing. But the reason I'm here telling the story about the core of the character of the winners is because, Vodafone is a very big worldwide company, and a lot of times companies as large as us are thought as heartless and very cold and very mechanic, especially since we're in the technology field. But I wanted to let you know that the people who are working in the 27 foundations and our partners are full of passion. They're people like yourselves who are working on the ground to make change happen. So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for the distinguished speakers today.